I'm sorry.
You having computer issues?
John, you're good.
Good.
My computer just blocked out. Trying to log on out. I really don't. To hang out.
Turn it off and turn it back on.
Heck if I'm going.
Good to go. All right.
That's not even. I'll wait a while.
Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:02, Wednesday, January 11th. This meeting is now called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
Here.
Councilmember Coyle.
Here.
Councilmember Harris. Councilmember Patel.
Here.
Councilmember Patil.
Here.
Councilmember Pointer.
Present.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975 has been provided by an annual notice sent to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, the Sentinel, and Desi Talk on December 1st, 2022, and posted at Main Lobby Municipal Complex on that same date.
Thank you, everyone, for President remarks. First, I'd just like to give a moment of silence for the passing of the retired Police Sergeant William Gorman. Thank you, everyone. Just as an update, the meeting for the Clara Barton Library tomorrow has been moved from the library to the first aid squad to accommodate more people that have shown interest. So please make sure that anyone that is interested to know that it is at the first aid squad. I will ask the administration to please put a notice at the library to redirect people that may show up at the library. Just a reminder that Saturday, January 14th, at Mini B Veal, there will be a Martin Luther King Jr. celebration event. And on January 16th, Monday, offices here will be closed in recognition of the holiday. On January 21st, 2023, 1 to 4 p.m. at Lake Papiani will be the first Lunar New Year parade. For those that may be attending the council meeting for the first time, I'd like to welcome you and just give a brief overview to tonight's proceedings. After my remarks right now, first will be a vote on approval of a volunteer firefighter. Discussions on the resolutions will follow. The meeting will be open to the public first comment on the resolutions only. After that, depending on if items are pulled for a separate vote, the council will vote on the consent agenda. Resolutions pulled for a separate vote would follow, if any. Following the resolutions, the floor will be open to the public for oral petitions and remarks. At that time, you will be able to discuss any matter you see fit. Throughout the meeting, I request everyone in these chambers to please keep proper decorum. Prior to the oral petitions and remarks, I will give additional guidelines. At the reorganization meeting last Wednesday, a question was posed about how the council plans on increasing resident and community involvement within the township. I had mentioned that establishing ad hoc committees would be one way to do so. I'm asking any resident who has any ideas, concerns, or initiatives the township could consider to establish a committee to investigate and take action to please reach out to myself at jpoyner@edisonnj.gov or the clerk's office at clerk@edisonnj.gov. I'd also like to ask the administration if we could establish a separate email address, say something like ideas@edisonnj.gov or similar, which can help organize suggestions by residents. I feel these types of committees will help increase community involvement and help with the communication between the residents and the township administration. I look forward to hearing from the residents. At this time, I'd like to move forward to the approval of volunteer firefighter.
Motion moved to approve the volunteer firefighter.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. At this point, I'd like to open up the public comment on the resolutions only. Sir?
Thank you. Am I recognized?
If it's okay, if I may ask for your name and address?
You can ask. I'd like to follow the law, the Open Public Meetings Act and Sunshine Law, and continue on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for respecting my rights. That's how it's done, Councilman Coyle. I'm against R012, resolution appointing the Township of Edison Public Agency Compliance Officer to the Business Administrator. To the Council President, to Councilman Richard Brescher, I would like some clarification on R012. I don't believe she can do the job at hand right now. I've been trying to get her to do a civil rights complaint for the past year, and to ask her to take on the extra burden of being the public agency compliance officer. Is she going to get an extra in her paycheck for this? That's a question I'd like to ask. And yeah, I'd like to know what exactly what it is an Edison Public Agency Compliance Officer does, and who used to take care of that role here in this town. I'm against R20, appointing Kyle Cerrito. I'm against it. I'm against appointing rubber stamps to the mayor's friends. R21, reappointing Michael Comba. I don't have much to say on that. We could put a new person in, hopefully from 08817. R022, reappointing Angela Hernandez Prince. Is she an Edison resident? I'd like to know that. I'm against R022. Again, appointing another person from 08837. All the boards are filled with people from 08837. I'd like somebody from 08817 to take that spot. Again, more unqualified people to be put on the boards, but it's okay because it's the mayor's friends, and they're going to do whatever he asks for. Absolutely disgusting. How much time do I have left, Marlena?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? Resolution appointing, can't read the first name, Mr. Patel. He happens to be from 08817, but I'm against this appointment. Happens to be a friend of the mayor. R024, Krishna Siddhartha. Again, North Edison person. I'm against every single person that you guys are appointing today, except the volunteer firefighter. And yeah, I'd like my questions to be answered. How much time do I have left? I'll stand here and while my
About 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes, you can,
He had addressed it to you, Mr. Brescher, but I can certainly answer if you'd like.
Well, I believe that for the 012, I think the last business administrator held that position also. We have to assign somebody as a compliance officer. Is that correct, Sonia?
Yes.
Right. So last time it was business administrator. We're just keeping with the same policy there.
okay.
As far as your other issues with zip codes, I tend to agree with zip codes after I looked at the numbers of the representation. I'll speak about that later. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public in regards to the resolutions only? Yes, in the back. Mr. Diamond, sorry.
Bruce Diamond, Calvert Avenue, West Edison. 021, I'm glad to see you reappointed Mike Kumba. I don't know who these other people are. I hope they bring something to the table, because without reappointing Peter, there's a big void there, and hopefully somebody rises to the occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public? Sir? Just to make sure, this is on the resolutions only.
Okay, motion to close the public portion?
Any other comments from the public in regards to the resolutions only? Motion to close the public comment?
A motion to close the public portion?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, public comment is closed. Proposed resolutions, starting from my right. Any resolutions to be pulled for a separate vote?
RO 20 and RO 22.
Councilman Coyle?
None, sir.
Councilman Harris, or Council Vice President Harris?
None, sir.
Councilman Patel?
None, sir.
Councilman Patil?
Yeah, Council President, R013, is this on the agenda tonight?
Yes.
Pulled it yesterday on Monday.
No, that was for the joint insurance fund, which I had mistakenly stated,
None.
reading the old one.
None at this time. Thank you, sir.
Councilwoman Ship Freeman?
All the appointments to the zoning board.
All right, so RO2.
For 2021.
All the appointments to the zone.
All of them, so that's what.
20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So that'd be 20 through 24.
Yes. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, which would be R009 through R019, with R020 through R024 being pulled for separate votes?
Motion to approve the consent agenda from R009 through R019.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Pointer.
Yes. We'll go numerically R020. Councilman Brescher?
Yes. I'd just like the public to kind of know what I was looking at. So I sent our council president email the other day that I said, John, last night you said we seem to have a good mix of representation with different areas of town. I looked at the population for 08820, 08817, and 08837. 08820 has 40,000 people, 08817 has 48,000 people, and 08837 has 20,000 people. When using the population and dividing by 9 members, 08817 should have 4 representatives, 08820 should have 3.3, and 08837 should have 1.6. Currently, what is proposed is 08817 would only receive 2 people to represent the area. 08820 would have 4, and 08837 would have 3, which is basically double. This distribution is in total contrast to what we were proposing. More alarming is that there was a candidate named Lasik that applied, and he is from South Edison, and was not interviewed. For most of our development problems, they seem to be situated in the 08817 area code, and they have virtually no representation. I know that Joe has said in the past that he has votes in his pocket, and I ask if you live by this assertion, or are you open to a fair process where Edison is represented evenly? On another note, it is apparent that one councilman has 3 people on the zoning that he's friendly with in Clara Barton. I do know that you also live there, but to have one councilman that has relationships with such a large number of members is wrong. I'm open to discussions privately if you would like. And I did speak to our council president. He did call me, immediately to discuss it. he didn't feel that this was important. You know, he felt the applicants themselves were important. I tend to disagree because I find that none of the applicants are like planning board specialists. None of us up here that are interviewing have exceptional qualifications to be picking people on the planning board anyway, but we have to. That's our job. So we do the best we can. And all that I've always said and I've been saying is South Edison has been underrepresented from what I see. And I was looking to see that change. So there are certain members that are from the 08837 area code that I just choose not to vote for. I'd like to see us represent the 08817. In fact, Mr. Lasik is your classic example. He's somebody that has to deal with the Topgolf issue, right? So he's somebody that would take probably a closer look at what we do, you know, on our boards. So I felt that he was a good candidate. My council vice president told me that they cut off the timing for it, and that's why he wasn't picked, except I don't know a date that was given that we said that, you know, all applications had to be in by. So I don't know how we couldn't have looked at him. But that's just where I stand. So if it's not Freddie Lasik, I would say we don't need to put on these extra zoning board people. They're not needed. We can still have meetings. And I was asking if we could wait on them. So thank you, Council President.
Council President, may I respond to?
Yes,
Councilwoman
Councilwoman
Brasher?
Harris.
Yes. And this is my bad, Rich. I had sent a response to you, but it turns out it went to my drafts and it didn't go out to you to answer your question about the deadline. The information is in the minutes or the recording of the meeting of December 14th and that would be at the 19:20 mark of the meeting. And the deadline that was given then for the zoning board applications was December 21st at 4 p.m.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Oh, speaking about, I'll just talk about every single one of these. The reason why I pulled each one of them out because I was omitted from the interviews. I don't know why, but I was omitted from the interviews. And then something else I noticed that one of our council members, Council Coyle, is part of the chamber. And I don't understand how you interview somebody from the chamber, then you put somebody on from the chamber, but you recuse yourself from voting, but how do you be on the interview from the beginning? Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? For myself, just so that the public knows, I called every individual that is up for appointment today. I've looked to be fair and looked to make a board that would work well together. My colleague can absolutely disagree in regards to where people live and such, but at the end of the day, I'm looking for a board that has a makeup that will work well together and that will represent the residents of Edison. So that is my main focus. That is why I put these individuals up for appointment. That's all I have to say. Can I get a motion to approve R020?
Motion to approve?
A second?
Seconded.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Abstain.
Council President Pointer.
Yes. R021. Any additional questions or comments? Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Abstain.
Council President Pointer.
Yes. R022. Questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
No.
Councilmember Coyle.
Abstain.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Patil?
Yes.
Councilmembership Freeman?
Abstain.
Council President Pointer?
Yes. R023, questions or comments? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Seconded.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brusher?
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Patil?
Yes.
Councilmembership Freeman?
Abstain.
Council President Pointer?
Yes. R024, questions or comments?
Motion to approve. Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brusher?
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Patil?
Yes.
Councilmembership Freeman?
Abstain.
Council President Pointer?
Yes. I do want to give, the motion carries, they all passed. I do want to give a thank you to Rosemary Federick and to Peter Skibar for their years of service on the zoning board. Regardless of what feelings are in regards to the board, the fact is that they are volunteers who have put years of effort into the township, doing what they view is the best for the township. So with that, I would just like to say thank you for your service. At this time, I'd like to open up for oral petitions and remarks. We're going to start from the list. First, Gloria Dittman. Gloria, if it's okay, I meant to make a statement just to give some protocol as to how the public comments would go. Is it okay if I just make that statement?
Sure.
Thank you. For anyone with questions for the council, you may certainly ask, yes. So for statements, for oral petitions and remarks. For anyone with questions for the council, you may certainly ask and seek a response back. Please note, council is not obligated to respond. Per our town code, questions and statements are to be addressed to the council president. Responses from council will count against the speaker's time and will not be halted. If you have a series of questions, I would request to ask them all at once so all are presented and you won't have to worry about time expiring. I will leave it up to the speaker as to how to utilize your time. Those who signed their name for the speaking list will be given first preference, again per town code. Those speaking for the first time are allowed to speak for 6 minutes. A 3-minute rebuttal is provided for. A rebuttal means you are refuting the comment made by another member of the public on the same issue which you originally spoke with. I hope that provides some clarity for the meeting. Ms. Dittman, I apologize.
No problem. Gloria Dittman, Midland Road in Edison. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Edison Art Society. 2023 will celebrate 25 years of helping to make Edison a more beautiful place to live and more aware of the arts. For any of you who are not aware, our mission is just to enrich and help people appreciate the arts in all forms. We have done the Nutcracker at Christmas time. We have done visual art exhibits. We have exhibited in hotels, restaurants, and in this very building. We have awarded 18 scholarships in the last 10 years to art students, underclassmen, so that they can pursue their passion, which is hopefully the arts. The murals to this very building was done by an artist from the Edison Art Society, and he did it voluntarily. And any materials that were purchased were all purchased through the Art Society. No tax dollars were used. We erected a gazebo in Papiani Park last summer. It was a costly exhibit, but I have to tell you that it was paid for through grants and through individual donations. And I think it's a beautiful structure. It looks nice to have a concert there, or to have a poetry reading, or to have some weddings. I understand weddings have already happened, so that's nice. The Art Society also participated in Paint My Piano, a project that we coordinated with the Chamber of Commerce, and that was on Amboy Avenue. We did that for 2 consecutive summers. We also did 19 hometown hero banners, 19 people from Edison who did serve or are presently serving in the military. And we could never do enough for the military, as far as I'm concerned. We have painted 6 murals throughout Edison. And at this point in time, we are still doing exhibits on the 2nd and 3rd floor. However, the 2nd and 3rd floor are being renovated, for lack of a better word, and I have no problem with that. I understand that when there's a new administration, they're going to put their own mark on their office and on the policies in town. However, I do think that when there is a group that is trying to improve things in Edison, that we should communicate. Communication is key, whether it's in a personal relationship or a business relationship. And lately, things haven't been communicated very well. And I'm sad to say that because I love what I do. I think it gives a lot of pleasure to a lot of people. Whenever we are taking down any art, many employees that work in this building on a full-time basis will tell us how much the art means to them, how it makes their day brighter. And that's what art is supposed to do. That's all I wanted to say. I think that the Edison Art Society is a vital part of Edison, and I hope we continue for another 25 years, but it cannot continue well without the support of this council and this administration. And I was remiss, I did not congratulate you and Margot on your new appointments. I certainly hope that it's an easy one for you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, Vice President Harris?
Yes, I wanted to respond to Gloria, who's done such great work for the town and with the Edison Art Society. And being a member, and I owe money because my membership is up for renewal, so I will get to that tomorrow. But I certainly agree. I think that the Edison Art Society is probably kind of an unsung hero of this town, and maybe taken a bit for granted. So I will take personal responsibility to try to make sure that communication flows more directly, and you can contact me anytime. I'm hoping, too, that once we can get a cultural and performing arts center, which would hopefully have some kind of museum attached to it, that these exhibits are going to have a really great new home. So thank you again for all you do.
Thank you. Next on the list, Maria Orchid.
Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Tomorrow is a very important meeting. It's for the Clara Barton Library, which we just learned has moved to the first aid squad. If you could, please put out a Nixle alert. Unfortunately, we didn't know beforehand and printed all the flyers and distributed all the flyers to all the residents in the area. It would be at 7 o'clock and hopefully open to the public. Martin Luther King Jr. is a very important holiday. On January 13th at the New Beginnings Church, we'll be celebrating at 7 p.m. On January 14th at the Midi Beeville. On January 15th, New Hope Baptist Church. I hope to see everyone in attendance. We're sponsoring through the Human Relations, the Taste of the Holidays at the New Beginnings, 80 Jefferson Boulevard. That would be in January. We're doing a blanket clothing drive for Beautiful Edison, and that'll be February 5th ending on February 11th. Drop-off point is the Cypress Brewery. If we could have an update on the Senior Citizen Center. I'm still waiting for the official list to be updated. And last, if there's any juniors or seniors that would like to work out for free, our National Guard Armory on Woodbridge Avenue is open from 5 to 6:30. Tell them Jack sent you. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for everyone's reference, the Clara Barton First Aid Squad is at 1079 Amboy Avenue. So that's 1079 Amboy Avenue. And to the question about the senior center, I believe at Monday we had discussed that is figured to be open by the end of the month.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
As far as the Nixle alert, because I went to the library meeting the other night, and the residents, rightfully so, are upset because communication seems to be lacking between, let's say, the administration or the mayor and the residents. And here the residents were given, a place, and then we changed it here, 24 hours before. So I don't think the request for a Nixle alert would be unreasonable, but could we get a commitment from someone that'll happen? Because otherwise the mayor's going to go to a meeting, and there's only going to be 5 people, right? And then we're going to wonder why we don't communicate with the public again. So who do we speak to about that to make sure that would happen?
To our business administrator.
I can certainly pass that on and get an alert out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list, Sue Malone Barber.
Sue Malone Barber, 85 Pleasant Avenue. Why was the meeting moved?
I was told because to facilitate a larger crowd that's expected.
Okay. We met with the library board yesterday, and it has been confirmed, in case people don't know, that the decision on whether or not to move the Clara Barton Library is the sole choice and responsibility of the Library Board of Trustees. So I would urge everyone to keep attending the library board meetings and write to the Library Board of Trustees and tell them again, there were 16 people that spoke, tell them again why we believe this will be have a really negative impact on the use of the library and on our community. In addition, I'd like to urge the council to please block any resolutions that move the library relocation forward. We really appreciate what you did last meeting to table the resolution to go get the bids. This is a really, really bad thing for the Clara Barton community. And last night proved that the mayor continues to spin the benefits of moving the library down on the main street, which are at best his opinion, and at worst, a manipulative story to mask what it is he wants to do and the negative impact it will have. So that's my ask of the council. And then unrelated to Clara Barton, I am reading about the 110-foot in the air, huge digital billboard that is up with the zoning board. And I remember a number of years back, we fought to no avail in Clara Barton to stop a billboard from being erected 100 feet in the air. And to this day, if I go out in the wintertime and stand in the middle of my street, I can see that billboard. I know we are working on a master plan. It's a quality of life issue. any billboard that big, and especially a digital billboard, the answer should just be no. It should never even get to the zoning board. I would ask that we put something in our master plan that just prevents these serious quality of life impact things. The town looks like crap. I mean, sorry for the not so gracious language, but we need to really wrestle with some of these things that should not even be up for debate. Anyway, I urge the council, I know it's with the zoning board, but it's just bad for Edison to have these things, and we should make it part of our master plan that they just don't come up. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next on the
Council
list.
President,
Yes, Councilman Brescher.
thank you for recognizing me. I'd like to say that in the master, just so you know, the master plan is not the end-all. Whoever sold you on that sold you a bag of goods. The truth is, we had a gentleman by the name of Peter Barnes, and Peter worked on our master plan. Peter was one of the brightest people I have ever met, okay? Yet we have all these issues that come up. So I don't believe that who's ever working on it now is brighter than Peter was. So I don't think we're going to be in any better spot. But to your point about the size of the sign, we already have in place regulations that say the sign can't be that big. What I find is your problem is you don't have this public advocate that can bring expert testimony that then a judge can look at and say, this was an expert that gave their opinion. Because you come up there, the judge isn't taking your words. They take expert testimony is what they look at. So the master plan, I'm sorry, I don't see it changing anything. I think the public advocate is the way to go. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, sir. I'll just make one brief comment where I respectfully disagree. In regards to the billboard aspect, there's a difference between the standard billboards that we are accustomed to versus the digital billboards. The digital billboards in terms of our town code, that absolutely 100% needs to be included, added on, and expanded upon. Because without that, no matter what, it has to be in our town code for it to be enforceable and or to be compared against. Thank you. Next on the list, Joel Bassoff.
Thank you. Joel Bassoff, 17 Beach Lane, Edison. First on the library board, it was a very well-attended meeting last night. It was good to see Councilwoman Joyce Ship Freeman there representing the council. In addition, Councilman Brescher was there and spoke eloquently on the issue. And in addition to council representatives, for probably the first time, we had a whole room full of public representatives. So it's an indication of how deeply the residents of Edison care about their local libraries. At the December council meeting, it was correctly said, I think by several members of the council, that the council has no jurisdiction over the library, and that's very true. The mayor subsequently found out that he also has no jurisdiction over the library, and hopefully he will come to internalize that realization. However, there is a role that the council does play with the library, and this is something that we're going to have to be vigilant about. There's currently a vacancy on the library board. A term has expired. The mayor, under the law, has the right to appoint members of the library board. However, the council has the right of consent on those appointments. So if and when mayoral nomination for the library board comes up, I hope that the council will scrutinize that nomination very carefully because there will be a whole room full of Edison residents who will also be scrutinizing that. Also, perhaps a sense of the council resolution might be in order, indicating that the sense of the council is that the Clara Barton branch should remain where it is. Now, on the issue of the zoning board, First of all, I'd note that somehow the zoning board terms are out of whack. We're going to have 4 terms expiring in 2026, but none in 2024. So if there's a way to rectify that under the municipal land use law, the expiration terms are supposed to be evenly divided over the 4-year period as much as possible. And somehow that hasn't happened. It bunches up the appointments. I'm glad that Councilman Brescher raised the issue of a public advocate. The real issue is that the zoning board is here and their decisions impact on property values, public health, public safety, and quality of life. The zoning board in the past few years has made some good decisions. They've made some bad decisions. When they make bad decisions, residents have to challenge it at their own expense, and that's not fair because that means that a decision that is harmful to quality of life, property values, public safety, or health will just go through, and the consequences could last for decades. And if the board makes a good decision, unfortunately, the courts will overturn that decision if a good record was not established at the hearing at the zoning board, which means, once again, a harmful decision could impact the residents of this town for generations unless residents are able to fight back at their own expense. And not everyone has the wherewithal to do that. And in fact, they've already paid their taxes to have the town protect their way of life and to protect their property values, and to say that, well, if a developer comes in with something that's noxious, they should have to pay again to hire experts and to hire lawyers to protect their interests means that they're being abandoned by the township that they pay taxes to. So I'd again urge the board to hopefully give us an ordinance to comment on very soon, establishing the position of municipal public advocate. Thank you.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Patil.
just want to make one comment. I'm sure that there are many folks here who want to talk about the library. If you all remember, a couple of years ago, there was an outcry saying the library board is not functioning properly and the library board meeting must be telecasted live. And this happened in this council chamber. And I'm surprised to hear that the library board is no longer recording those meetings and no longer telecasting those meetings. And that means that most of the residents don't know what's happening with that library board. So again, my request would be, if it at all is happening, I would say that, we need to have this in council chamber. So I would say it's a central location for most of the people. They can come here and watch those meetings because these meetings do move from one location to another location, and it becomes kind of a inconvenience for most of the residents. It's just my suggestion if we can move those back in this council chamber. Thank you.
Council President,
Councilwoman
the
Ship
only
Freeman.
time the library does not meet in this chamber is when there's a conflict within this building. It has nothing to do with the library actual board not wanting to be here. Because when I went to the meeting and Councilman Brescher last night, they were surprised that they were not being recorded because they were told that they were going to be recorded on TV last night, that their meeting was, even though it was at a distant location. So it's no fault of theirs that the town moves them back and forth around and all over the place until they, you can tell now, they moved them to Clara Barton from over, they were supposed to meet at the other place. So they're like nomads most of the time. You squeeze them in when you can. That's what happens with the library. Thank you.
Council President, with all due respect, I would like to see all the last 24 months of the library board meeting recordings. That's number one. I'll be sending that request to, because it's recorded by our crew, so to the administrator. And second thing is, if this is a conflict issue, we have the whole calendar. I think we should be able to work around with those dates, so we shouldn't be saying, that it's not available. Again, if we plan, the way we plan our council meeting, the way we plan our zoning meeting, planning board meetings, Similarly, we should be able to look into that aspect and probably publish that calendar so that brings the transparency. That's only my comment. Thank you, Council President.
Well, Councilmember Patil, just so you know, they did submit their dates. And when he submitted his dates, I told him that there was a conflict on January 10th.
Understood, but this is one meeting, right? Not the whole
Right,
year.
like, no, when they submit, just like we have to submit our dates, I set the dates for this chamber. And our dates are first, planning and
Correct.
zoning, and then the library. And the library knew that they had a conflict for the January 10th. There was originally scheduled a Tier C meeting here, so.
Understood, but normally this planning happens like a month or 2 months ahead of a time, not in the month of January. We do it in our council
Oh,
calendar.
He knew a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
when I-
but that's what I'm saying. It needs to happen.
Library board knew January 10th was not available.
Okay, thank you.
He did know ahead of time.
Thank you. Tina Thompson?
I'm Tina Thompson, 92 3rd Street, and as others have mentioned, I'm very, very thankful that you tabled the resolution about the Clara Barton Library. That library is something that brings us joy, happiness. It improves the quality of our life. There was something mentioned last evening that Clara Barton had to be uplifted. It's unfortunate that that building at the bottom of Pleasant was built. It's been built for many, many years. There was never adequate parking. Those retail spaces could never stay filled because there was never adequate parking. I don't understand how we're spending all of our tax dollars in a whirling dervish to dismantle a library and move it into a retail space that has not been viable for years. And it is very, very unfortunate that that building was built, but it's not the library or those of us who use the library to uplift a building that should have never been built. We have a Stelton Community Center right down here on Plainfield Avenue, and according to the mayor in my Central Jersey dated April 3rd, he'd like to turn that into a mini Liberty Science Center, which is fabulous. So if you can turn that Stelton Center into a little mini Liberty Science Center, why can't we turn it into something for these special needs children? Why do we have to dismantle, move books into an inadequate space when we have a Stelton Community Center, and it says here that as long as the footprint of that building is not changed, you can improve it. Improve it to house this special needs program. Or even better yet, we've got the Lakeview School in Roosevelt Park that is already running 12 months out of the year. It services children from 3 years old to 21 years old. It's already there. Again, why are we reinventing the wheel? We've got a beautiful library. Leave it a library, and please find an alternative. If we can't use, for whatever reason, Lakeview, which is also nationally known for its programs, then someplace in the 30 miles that is Edison, there has to be an open space for this special needs program that the mayor wants. Please leave the library where it is. Do not move it down to the bottom of Pleasant and Amboy Avenue. There is no parking. The space is smaller. We're going from half the books. They're putting $3 million into the North Edison Library. Let's invest in the Clara Barton Library. The mayor wants more touch screens. He doesn't think that a library, it's not going to be a book depository anymore. It's someplace to learn. Then let's improve Clara Barton. Clara Barton doesn't deserve a real library. We should be housed in a retail space that has never been successful. So please, leave the Clara Barton Library where it is. Improve the quality of life in Clara Barton. There were folks there last evening, many of them said, they won't let their kids walk to Amboy Avenue if there's a library on that corner. They'll let them walk to where the library is now because it's still in the neighborhood. But once you get down to Amboy Avenue, you're out, it just brings in a different element. Those parents don't know who their kids are running into. So leave the library as a library, find someplace else for the special needs program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Brescher.
I'd like to know if the business administrator might be able to get us some information on that Lakeview School. And then I heard Robert Wood Johnson has a sensory room that they have that's spectacular. It's not as big as a library, I was told at the meeting. It's about an eighth of the size of this room, but they said that that's all that was really needed. And because if these services are rendered within our township now, whether they're county-run or not, might be a good avenue for us to look at. Not that we're going to take patrons from, their school to bring them to here, and we're just doubled. I don't think we had a study done, to find out about the special needs program. And I don't think there's been a councilman up here that knows exactly what we're going to do for the special needs program. So if we can get maybe some information on that. Thank you.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman McClure.
I echo the sentiments of the residents for the library. Although I do understand the needs for the ideas of the mayor and the special needs, it's a great opportunity. I just believe the Claire Barton Library they're going to outgrow it in 1 year. I think that the Stelton Community Center has been sitting. We've been talking about it, I think, for at least, Councilman Patil, at least 5 years we've been talking about that location.
That's correct.
5 years, we have not known what to do with it. We've seen on Woodbridge Avenue what different organizations have done with our previous schools. They've renovated them, and they've made them working schools that we kind of wish we had today. So I would hope there's an opportunity that the mayor could review the Stelton location, not just because of its location, but the size. And I think the ideas of the mayor and special needs and how many people are involved and how many families, they're going to outgrow and need more space. And there's grounds there's playground area. It goes far past what the Claire Barton Library could ever be. So I'm excited if this can ever happen or be reviewed, certainly before a final decision is made. I hope they look at the Stelton Community Center. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, sir.
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman Ship Freeman.
in meetings and stuff that I've been with the school system for the Stelton building, it costs like $15 million to rehabilitate that building. So we have other buildings, I think Councilman Brescher said by the Circle C Ranch or something, Circle C Ranch, where they have the building and stuff available, and they also can have the farm, and they have like the ranch, like you can put animals and stuff like that there. But I know for the Stelton School right now, the conflict back and forth with the Board of Ed and with the stuff that's going on, is still on the Rossi. And so it's a lot of complications, and we've been working on trying to get that building or give it to the school system because they're overcrowded. We've been trying this for like, I guess, 2 to 3 years now. So I'm just saying I don't know that that's a viable place. So I just know that everybody needs a place because we have a lot of people in Edison, but I just think we should be strategic and understand what we need to do and look around and not do knee-jerk reactions and kind of study where we need to go from this point on. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list, Johanna Henton.
Good evening. My name is Johanna Heaton. I'm on Dartmouth Street in Edison off Amboy Avenue. I have a couple of comments and a couple of questions. My first one was about the senior building because it's just a royal pain in you know what. Not knowing where we're going, we are the senior. How can we say it? Senior Social Club of Clara Barton. We're not the seniors of Clara Barton. Clara Barton formed a senior social club many, many, many moons ago. I'm sure Joe Coyle's parents probably belonged to it because you lived in Clara Barton, and they were the only people that went to it. So we had it at the American Legion. It was fine. Of course, then that folded up, which is really sad, which we could have used probably for our veterans for other reasons, but that's gone. So in looking for a place to stay, we were offered the senior building on Woodbridge Avenue, which is for the Edison seniors, and we are seniors. They have, the Edison seniors meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Tuesday, they have only 5 members for their senior club. We had 100. We've lost many people. We're down to about 70, but we're looking for more people to come in. So then, without notice, communication again, we couldn't go to the senior place. So now we were looking for some place to go. We did go to the Clara Barton Library once. That didn't work. So, because that room is small at the Clara Barton Library. So we ended up at the First Aid Squad. And the other thing that bothered us when we were at the Edison, which is, I don't understand why we can't do this, is if you've ever been in that building on Woodbridge Avenue, it has a big kitchen, which we are not allowed to use. They have multiple stoves. They have everything that you could want in there, okay? We're not allowed to bring in anything. Food is come in for people who, get lunches, free lunches. But I don't understand why we can't bring in coffee. We would clean it up. We've done it before when we had the Legion. We made sure everything was clean. We kept everything spotless. People from each table, we did what we had to do to make sure that it was clean. But we're not allowed to do that at the senior center. Now we're at the First Aid Squad. They have a kitchen. Their stove is covered, it's disconnected. There is sinks there, but we can't have coffee there. They have coffee in a urn type thing for only till about, I don't know, 12:30. That's it. People drink a lot of coffee. I don't, but they do. So we have to bring our own, and we have lockers at the senior building. So I'm hoping that we do end up going back there, because in those lockers are all of our paper plates and plastics and tablecloths and everything that we would buy from our group are over there. And now we have to bring our own, when we have meetings, we have to bring our own stuff to the table. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous and redundant because we have it. We've already paid for this stuff. The other thing, so I'm hoping and praying that everything that was done at the senior building on Woodbridge Avenue is going to be corrected and we can go back there. I didn't think that was going to happen. Because I don't trust people anymore. And that comes to another point of my conversation. At the meeting last night, which there were quite a few people, it is a small room, basically almost standing room only, and they were very surprised to hear from all the people that did speak, and that there was that many people. Normally they get 3 people. Again, lack of communication. When you don't know, and because we're seniors, you got 80-year-old people, they don't have smartphones. They don't have computers in their house. Maybe some of them live with their kids, yeah, they can help them, but they don't have that communication. You can call us, because you do when there's weather, when there's something going on in the township that's an emergency, we get a phone call. We get, it's flashed all over the place. But when anything's coming up like a meeting, we don't hear about it. I didn't know anything about the senior building. I didn't know anything about the library closing, which was miscommunication all over the place. There were so many rumors and people talking that it was making me sick to my stomach. I think it's a disgrace that they're going to do this. That building's been there a long, long time. I'm sure Joe's been there. My grandkids, my daughter's been there. My son's been there. My grandchildren have been there. It's a perfect site. It's away from, you can't put a library in a storefront. I'm sorry. That just doesn't work. I grew up in Jersey City, and down the block from us were all storefronts and bars, okay? People lived in those storefronts, by the way, and that's what it was back in the day, 1950. But you can't put a library on a main, and that's the other thing the mayor brought up yesterday, is that he's been to Scotch Plains and every place else, and Fanwood and wherever, and their libraries are on a main street. Well, really, go look at their libraries. They're buildings because they were built as a
Council
library.
President, speaker's time has elapsed.
It's gone.
Yeah, I'm sorry, after 6
Okay,
minutes.
no
that's
problem.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Christo?
Speaker is not present.
Hello, am I recognized?
I must ask, name and address.
I'd like to follow the law and continue on without
Please proceed.
violating my Fourth Amendment right. Thank you. That's how it's done, Councilman Coyle. I'd like to complain. I wanted to watch the library meeting yesterday at home, and all of a sudden, all the meetings get posted, but the library meeting. Today, we have a member of the library board here, Anthony Tony DePascal, and he always comes here. He says, let's live stream the planning board meetings, let's live stream the zoning board meetings. He wants to live stream every meeting except the corruption that goes on in his own meeting. I'm here to stand up for the Clara Barton Library. I support the Clara Barton Library. I want to know, is it true, the rumors that are going around that Sam Joshi's trying to give his wife $200,000 job through the library? The property that they're trying to put the library in, is it any property connected with Councilman Coyle? Because I know he also has some property on Pleasant Avenue. So maybe they thought about this a year in advance. Somehow they gave him a property for $1, sold it to him for $1. Is that property now going to be reused to get, let's say, $500,000 contract, and they're going to pocket all the money at the taxpayer's expense while giving their family members a $200,000 job? That's a good question. Yeah, I'm just disgusted, completely disgusted. I want to say to Joyce, they recently said, you know, they did something good. They hired the first Indian woman judge. That's not an accomplishment. So we got rid of a qualified judge that the town likes, like Judge Casey, so Sam Joshi can hire his sister's best friend during a time he was investigated for stealing campaign signs and possible sexual assault. That's not an achievement, that's nepotism, which leads to corruption. So good job that you guys feel your own corruption is an achievement. How much time do I have left? 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. She refuses to take my civil rights complaints. The mayor refuses to give me any sort of meeting. I'm happy Councilman Coyle is no longer the council president because he spent all last year violating my rights, violating the public's rights. Yeah. I mean, here these people are, these Edison camera people, they do receive a salary. I'd like it written in their contract that, hey, if you miss a meeting, we're going to remove $500. We're going to fine you $1,000. Maybe that would have kept them from missing the Edison Library meeting yesterday. I'd like to know, did the Edison mayor tell them to just skip out on that meeting so the town cannot see what's going on? Are we lacking accountability and transparency in this town? One thing you said earlier, Councilman Pointer, you mentioned something about decorum. Decorum can be a perception. I don't go by your perception. I'm going to follow the law. I understand Sam Joshi. He knew a lot of people were going to come in here and criticize him. And he says he calls criticism not following decorum. You can't just do that. Anyone can come in here, air their grievances. They can even curse. So When you said follow decorum, does that mean you would throw people out for cursing, Councilman Pointer? Even though New Jersey state law allows you to curse, the USA Constitution allows you to curse on public property? I'd like you to answer that question. When it's your time, of course. How much time do I have left? A minute and a half. A minute and a half. I heard that there's numerous ethics complaints on Councilman Joe Coyle and Mayor Sam Joshi. Maybe Councilman Coyle would like to tell the town what kind of ethics violations that he's currently facing. Yeah, I mean, you get what you vote for, and we could have voted for someone better than Sam Joshi. It's all right, I'm gonna be at the meeting tomorrow. Of course you guys switched the meeting. You guys told people all week long the meeting's gonna be at the Clara Barton Library. Now you switched it at the First Aid Squad the last minute. That's so less people show up. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. I'd like to know who the new member from the Board of Education to the library is appointed. I hope it's not Brian Rivera. I hope they appointed somebody oh, they appointed Joe Romano? Good. So we got a good vote for the people now. Yeah, I'm just afraid that they're waiting for Neville Aristani to come back and vote in the mayor's favor. Of course Neville's gonna vote for what you guys tell him to. You guys, didn't you guys vote for him last year to get the marijuana license? So now he's a legalized drug dealer and he's gonna vote the way Sam Joshi wants him to vote for? Absolutely disgusting. He should have been thrown out of the library board. You missed 3 consecutive meetings. By law, you get removed. Thank you.
Thank you. In regards to decorum, I just ask that everyone treats everyone with respect. Simple ask. We are off the list.
Council President,
If it's okay to,
I was going to answer his question.
sure.
Because he asked. I believe the one member, Neville, he's up for reappointment, and I think that's what people were talking about earlier, was that looks like one of the new appointments for this year, that he'd have to be renewed or replaced, one or the other. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Diamond?
Bruce Diamond, 74 Calvert. Comment to Mr. Brescher regarding the master plan. I think those were kind of unfair snipes. Until we see where it's going, you know, we're trying to react to changes that have rapidly occurred in town over the last 5-10 years. And it just doesn't happen overnight. We will get there. We look for the citizens, the residents to contribute to the process and have faith. We'll see how it works out. I'm confident it's going to work out well. As to the library, I've got no horse in the race, but I would say, based on the lady's comments before about how uncomfortable the people are, I guess, on the north side of Amboy Avenue, having their kids cross Amboy Avenue, what about all the people who live on the other side of Amboy Avenue? How are they supposed to get to the library that's so dangerous up the road? You know, it goes both ways. It seems to me the town has, if there's a need, the town has an obligation to provide an adequate facility in the area that meets the residents' needs. But that doesn't mean it has to be a little clubhouse that's central to a group of people that have residential-only parking on the street. I think there's only 6 spots, and I believe 2 of them in the parking lot are for handicapped people, handicapped plates. So it's really unfair that the library is buried in a corner of town where there's really not access to the whole community. How are people supposed to walk there from the other side of the turnpike on Amboy, in between there and Woodbridge? It really needs to be in a central location to the whole community, not just to the people on one side of Amboy Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Brescher?
Yes, I'd just like Mr. Diamond to know that I was at that library board meeting. There were people from both sides of the street and the entire neighborhood that came out to speak that they didn't want it moved. And where they're moving it to is to the same side of the street. So it wouldn't really benefit, it wouldn't benefit anybody different. But the people's concern was that it was on a busier road, you know, and not tucked away, so it was safer for children to walk. That was all. A rebuttal?
You have,
More time?
well, his
Okay.
speaking time is still 3 minutes. I haven't recognized another speaker.
Bruce Diamond, still at Calvert. I'm not saying that's an ideal location where the plan is to move it. Don't get me wrong, there's no parking there either. But again, it's not just, you know, the 24 houses that are immediately around there that have the easy access to send their children to the building. What do the people do on the other side of the street? What do the people do on the other side of the turnpike? I'm just saying that's, the way it's being proposed, it's not a terrible idea to move it. I'm not sure that the basis for moving it makes sense. Don't get me wrong on that. But if it came out 6 months ago that they wanted to move it to a more central location, I wouldn't have had an argument with that. It doesn't make sense to move it to such a small facility with no parking, because then you're still stuck with people not having easy access to the building, but that's a separate argument. Thank you for letting me respond.
You're welcome, sir. Kemi?
Kemi Money, 79 6th Street, Edison.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Thank God you remember my name. Yesterday we were at the meeting, and immediately I asked a question. I asked, is this meeting taking over the meeting that's supposed to happen tomorrow? Some of the people on the high table were really annoyed because over a period of times when things started happening over and over again, it gets to a point that you lose faith and you don't have, whatever people say again, it doesn't have meaning because everything happens to be like done slyly and decisions are taken in hidden things that when people talk, you don't have any, their words have no value. The battle started 20 years ago. There was another battle 12 years ago. Now we are trying to fight another battle to retain the library. Yesterday we were told there will be a meeting and it's going to be at the Clara Barton Library. We told everybody that we'll be at the meeting tonight. John just told us now the meeting will be at the Edison, the Clara Barton Court. We want to tell you that the meeting was supposed to be at the Clara Barton Court before the mayor changed it to the Clara Barton Library. How do you expect us to believe wherever the mayor is saying? It's difficult to follow up. It's difficult to even believe whatever we're hearing. The most ideal time could have been yesterday. Oh, the meeting has been changed, then we will know. Today now, how do we get to talk to people that the meeting is now at the squad? Did he want to just see only 2 people? No, it's impossible. It's impossible. Tomorrow, by the special grace of God, and by the help of the people that come from Clara Barton, that place will be packed to the brim. There will be bull on. By the special grace of God, there will be noise. Because it's just too sad. Yesterday, we thought we made like a progress that is willing to listen to us. Today, there's another thing. This is not done. It's not good. It's so discouraging. The library, that particular Clara Barton Library, is the heart of that community. Don't pull it away from us. If the opportunity is given and they relocate that library, it will be dead in the first 1 year. because the things they are telling us, we see the sign. List is going to be for a year. They will study if it's going to wait or it will make it. That library is not sick. It's an healthy library. It's a 50-year-old library. In an ideal situation, it should be an historical building by now. People should be talking about it as, oh, that is an historical Clara Barton library. What did he want to do with that library? I'm just appealing to each and every one of you on these seats that has the conscience. Help us to talk to him, that he should just leave that library, go to other places. There are buildings, there are abandoned projects that he could use to do whatever he wants to do. And in the process of doing it, he should look at the Lakeview School. There's no need repeating what is working. He should look for another thing to do. Help us to just retain this library. Is it very difficult to do? I don't think it's difficult. The seniors are here. They are telling you that there's no alternative. That tiny library is the alternative for us. It is the base for us. Keep it for us. John, is it difficult to do? You have children too. They need a library. We live in the same place. Try as much as possible. I know it could be difficult, but this will be one thing to do in a new year, just for us. And we will be out in your hair. I want to appeal to you, whatever will make it possible to relocate that library. Resolutions, money, make it a little bit difficult. God will help you as you do it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right, yes, sorry.
Good evening. I'm Diana Jaffe, 86 Laurel Hollow Court. I want to say that I thank all the community members who are here because they've enlightened me about this Clara Barton issue. But the reason I came up was just to thank you and the mayor for creating what we have. We're talking about the library and the importance of where it is for the community members. But I want to thank you for creating a program for the special needs kids. We haven't really talked about them, this program, wherever it is going to be. I really appreciate it. I have been a special ed teacher for 44 years, and it's a long time. And I certainly, when I hear that this town of Edison, where I live, has created this program for special needs kids that is supplementary to their special education in the public schools or in private schools, it warms my heart to see that we have taken these kids and we're giving them the extra help that they need to develop them. It hasn't happened in South Plainfield where I taught, and it hasn't happened in any other towns that I know of. So I just want to say how much I appreciate it, how much these kids really need what you're providing for them, wherever you provide it for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Anita Sharma, 7 Lincoln Highway. I'm a business owner in Edison and a mother of 2 special need young adults. One is 25, other one is 21. I'm an advocate also for special need children. When this news came and I read it on the Facebook, I was following it, we were very thrilled. There were a lot of parents who were very thrilled. Just because those parents don't get so much time to speak about or to really, really be actively involved in what they want because of their busyness with the children, it doesn't mean that they don't want it. It is much needed in the township. I mean, as a business owner in Edison, I have 250 students. It's a program that caters, and every parent that comes doesn't have a reach to services which are nearby. Township had a very good idea, and which I really think can cater to so many children. Like in Edison itself, I've been, I was in Edison before and then some other town, but my business is in Edison. And the reason I brought my business in Edison is we have a huge, densely populated population in Edison of special need children who really need these services. And if at affordable rate where, the public is involved, where, the facilities are coming on reasonable, affordable rate, that will be really so much appreciated. I heard everybody speaking, loud about heritage, and a library has been there, which is very good, and, which is our heritage. But at the same time, when the resolution came and it was taken away just because people don't want it in the library. How about looking for a place somewhere, but not getting rid of this idea that, our town, the township is bringing such a beautiful thing and thinking about bringing a beautiful center where these services can be given to parents. We don't have time after school. The children, they come from school at 4 o'clock and then going to some other place for other things that are available. It's really, really not possible. 4 to 7, there is hardly 3 hours. If it is in this township, our children can avail that. And believe me, the population is increasing so much, 1 in 33. And I'm telling you, a lot of people in Edison. We had preschool autism program some 10 years back where there were only 5 classes. Now there are 12 classes, 12 children in each class, which is like a huge number. I myself have students in my school. I'm in my learning center. Edison has a huge population of special need that can benefit from this idea. So I would really request, if nothing, at least this thought should be put again back in the resolution that, what can we do? If not library, where else? Because I can only speak and advocate about children. I really don't know how these places, things work, and what is needed, what is not needed as per the requirements of the zoning and everything. But please, this is a great idea, so it should be put back in the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Brasher.
I don't think there's a council person up here that disagrees that having a program is a good thing. It's just when it's, that would be like somebody coming to you and saying, we're going to take your building where your business is, right? And then you have to go relocate. You are not going to be happy. But there is a way. We, as my council colleague at my other end of it here did point out, we actually own a home that's by the Circle Ranch. We also own a big home by Woodland Avenue. And then larger than that is the Stoughton Community Center. So these are properties that we already own. And you're talking about, in the homes, you invest a couple $100,000, you make it brand new. When you buy a house in Edison for like $1 million, it's not $1 million. The property alone is $500,000-600,000. The $400,000 is what you pay to fix it all up, make it beautiful. So there are alternatives, but those decisions need to be made by the administration and the mayor. It's not this council that gets to go out and look at space and stuff like that. I mean, all we can do is fund, but it's hard for us to fund when we know we're hurting other people. So yes, I would recommend, speaking to the mayor and ask him if he can find a place that's unused. And I think he's committed to finding a new place, myself, after hearing him the other night. So thank you, though, for your comments.
Thank you. I would just say the Triple C Ranch, the property across 205 Tyler, having personally been in it before, I would not be my first choice, quite honestly. But neither here nor there. Mr. DiPasquale?
This guy been raising his hand forever.
If it's okay.
My name is Ray Skibinski. I live on 402 Woodhaven Drive.
Thank you.
It's a condominium. Before that, I had a home for about 25 years at 50 Calvert Avenue West. I loved it very much. I would use the library, since we're talking about libraries, I used the library at North Edison Library. I also was a member for years and years. I started with Catherine Spadoro, who came here with her husband, and she started an art kind of council. I was very happy. We just started out. We didn't have a place to show our work, but we were using the North Edison Library until the space was used by their own people. So I had to look for other places to do my, to instruct, because I was an instructor then. And I had a lot of a lot of input, and people were happy to join, and the cost was just minimal. But then I had to look for another venue, and I was with the Temple Emmanuel, and they had their classroom. But then they sold their place, and then the COVID came, and so for a long time we were looking with the Edison Art Society. We were looking for another place where I could offer some classes. Now I understand that there's at the library on Plainfield Avenue, which is supposed to be the main library of Edison. Is it not?
It's named as such.
Yes. Well, they have an upstairs, and I think they have classrooms there. They also have a space to exhibit artwork. And I'm just wondering why that space has not been used more effectively. And rather than changing venues, changing places for other libraries, why not use what we already have and maybe enhance that? Thank you.
Thank you.
President?
Yes, Councilwoman Ship Freeman.
Sir, they're going to enhance the library, the main library. They plan to do that. Some of them, they do have some art displays there, back and forth. And I know you're talking about the Art Society, because I used to be very involved with it with Catherine Spadoro, when she used to be, we lost her last year.
Yes.
But it was very, very good. She always had fundraisers. She had a lot of stuff going on.
Always,
It was a constant thing all the time, keeping the whole town involved with it. But we are, trying our best to do good things. My whole thing is I want to make the special ed people happy, and I also want the librarian people happy. I think we should, both sides sit down, work together, and then when we move forward, we'll be that much better. I just think it'll just be a better thing, because
You're right. I think we do have to have that kind of communication. Because
Yes.
otherwise, we don't know what the other people are doing or what they are able to do. So you have some kind of a liaison with
both groups, because I think secret meetings and secret groups bring nothing but distrust between people. So unless you involve all the people and all the parties that are actually involved in it, then people, as they got up and spoke, they said they've lost trust because they don't see themselves involved. They see little things going on behind the scene, but they don't see themselves being a part of something.
There are two beautiful old buildings on, I'm not sure if it's Stelton or if it's still Plainfield Road, where they look like they're like Tudor classrooms. Are they part of Edison?
I would have to check. I would have to find out.
I think they look like they're schools. I'm not sure if they are still functioning as schools and whether they can be used for other things, because the buildings are just beautiful, and too bad they're just not functioning maybe as they should be. But thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Sir, oh, sorry, I had promised Mr. DePasquale before.
Tony DePasquale, 2 Pine Street. I also want to put this disclaimer out there that I am a library trustee, but I am speaking as a resident and a parent of 2 special needs children who has been on this long journey of finding services for my children, which is not the easiest thing to do. I don't know if any of you are special needs parents, or you've experienced the difficulty of finding services for special needs children. But I do have one question before I continue. I'm just curious. I didn't see the wording of the exact wording of the resolution, but does the resolution actually state a location? Or does it just say a special needs center? Does anybody know that?
My understanding was that the resolution was to authorize the township to be able to send out for an RFP.
Okay, so it didn't state a location.
No, it was just
Okay.
for the
So-
drafting of
so
an
my-
RFP.
My question is then, is no matter where this special needs center needs to go, or is gonna go, it still needs to have funding. So basically, it was tabled for funding, basically. Like you tabled something, it still needs funding. So if you guys vote on this resolution for funding, it doesn't say actually where this special needs center will go. It can go at Mr. Brescher mentioned a few different locations. Well, if you want to go to those locations, you still need funding to do that. So why hold off on the funding? It takes time, as you all know, for bids, and if this continues to be tabled, it could be 6, 8 months, a year before it comes back up again. Where if a location is found, well, where's the funding coming for that? So I'm confused a little bit because I think there's a little confusion with the location. If it's not specified in the resolution, well, then why not vote for having the funding at least ready to go when the location is found? Because as other people have said, and like I said, you know, having my children are older now, they're 20 and 22, but over the past 18 years, to find places for them to go, to get services, to get the sensory gyms, to get any type of, it is not easy to get all that. Special needs parents struggle to find services for their kids. And unfortunately, I don't think the people, you know, I mean, you can all say, you know, oh, we don't want, you know, we want to give things to the special needs children. I get that. I understand that, and that's a nice thing to say. But unless you are in the position of a special needs parent, you will never understand the struggle that special needs parents go through. And we need to prepare them to live life without us. And these centers and these opportunities for them are what they need, because when I pass, who's going to be there to help my child? That's what we need to always think about. It's always on the forefront of our mind. What is going to happen 30 years that they're not going to be with me because I'm going to be, you know, older, as we all pass away at some point. So I think you really need to look at that. This is not about where is it going to go right now. I think you need to look at, let's have the funding available for when it is needed, so we don't have to wait, oh, it's going to be on this meeting. No, we can't do it on that meeting. Like, that's all, you know, I know it's well and good. I know you guys want to do good for the special needs children. I'm not questioning that. But again, I think it should be brought back, and I think you should vote yes on that to bring funding and have it available. Thank you.
Council President?
Thank you for your comments, and Councilman Brescher.
Yes, I'd just like to tell you, when you asked the question before, I was going to respond, Council President did. But during that meeting, I specifically asked if this was for the Clara Barton Library, and I was told yes at the meeting. It'll be on the tape. When that was originally brought up, that was a question that I did ask.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm talking specifically
please.
what it says in the resolution. I could say, anybody could say anything they want. I'm talking specifically, you are voting on the resolution.
Councilman Pointer, I'd like to ask, you're the council president, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Was I speaking?
Yes, sir. My apologies.
Thank you. Would you like me to yield my time to you, Mr. Di Pasquale? Or would you like me to finish?
You finish, sure.
Okay. So I asked for clarity, like I always ask for clarity.
Okay.
Because as the residents will know, our resolutions are so vague. We don't know what's going on. You sit on the library board, sir, and what I witnessed there, to me, looked like some kind of collusion to close our libraries without notification to our residents. So I was appalled at this, okay? I was appalled. And when you say that we don't understand what special needs are, right? I do understand your family. I am not the father of a special needs child. I am the uncle, okay? And because of that, when I was on the Board of Education, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on the Board of Education, taking parents to court as opposed to giving their children the need that they needed. We ended up stopping Jonathan Bush and his law firm from placing these lawsuits forward. And the board decided that instead of paying a lawyer, what we were going to do was give the services to the children. So we do look for that. But what you're asking for is for funding for something that we don't know what it is. Now, you understand special needs, right? I have yet to hear from the administration or the mayor, and the entire public has yet to hear as to exactly what type of program. Because there are different age groups in special ed, right? There's different IEPs. So there's different things for you to offer. There are hundreds of options, and we don't know what kind of options are out there. I mean, I know you speak to the mayor a lot, so maybe you have it. Maybe you can explain to us the extent of the special needs program and what kind of IEPs we're going to take care of. So I understand your need for funding, but you're coming to the wrong body. You need to go to the mayor and have the mayor come and explain to the council what he plans on building. Again, like the residents of the library, ill-informed, okay? We heard other residents talk about being ill-informed. It's the mayor's responsibility, right? We send out newsletters. We pay PR firms, and we can't get this message correctly to the public. And as a councilman, I can't get information as to what we're going to do for this special needs. I agree, and I want to give our children, okay, what they need. Trust me, I do. But to just blindly sit here and say, Councilman, can you please write a blank check? We don't know where it's going. We don't know what services we're going to give, okay? That's my real issue. You don't know either, or do you? I mean, you're a little closer to the mayor, so you might know what we're doing. Do you know what we're doing? It's a question.
I have no idea.
That's the problem.
But you are mixing, which you normally do, Mr. Brescher.
Point of
You
order.
are-
Point of order.
Yes.
I'm
Do
not
I have
gonna-
time left?
No, the time has elapsed. And
I had 6 minutes?
You get
Yes,
a rebuttal, though.
And as I stated originally, that if there
Okay,
was,
but did he use any of my time? He spoke for a while.
in the original statement that I made, any question posed to the council would be counted against the time. So I apologize.
Okay, but he
if it comes-
spoke for most of my time. That doesn't, that's how fair is that? He
Come back
spoke
for rebuttal.
for most of my time.
He has a rebuttal.
Please come back for the rebuttal, sir, if I may politely ask. Thank you, sir.
Council President, I just want to just reiterate, I do understand some of the comments that were made here, but I don't stand in the shoes of Mr. Pasquale, and I couldn't ever understand a day in a life of a parent with special needs. I'm just predicting this council definitely would support financing of a step of funding of some direct initiative in detail. I think this first resolution to us at passing with the residents at hand, you know, and the friction and that was going on, I think that's what caused it to slow down. But I believe if there anything else comes to this council that has a little more detail of the steps, consulting, design, logistics, I think that's something I certainly would consider. So to Anthony, I'm sorry what you go through every day. I don't know what you go through every day, and I'm sorry to the parents and what they go through. But it's a great idea, this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Name and address, please.
Shagun Washington, 142 Hoover Avenue.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Yes, it's great having the voices of special needs parents because when we are sort of fighting for our library, we're fighting for our library, right? We don't like being pitted against parents of special needs kids. At the meeting yesterday, it was also great to have a couple of parents of special needs kids who do support having the library where it is because their kids need the library too, and they're part of the neighborhood. So it sucks that that this is the fight that we're having to fight. It sucks that when I'm explaining this to like people at work, the fight that we're fighting for the library, I have to say we're fighting special needs kids. It feels wrong, right? And I don't say that, but you know what I mean. It sounds like we're fighting special needs kids, but that's not really what we want to do. And this is all because of just terrible communication, just terrible planning on the side of the administration. I have a quick question. The meeting tomorrow being moved, who made that decision?
Can't speak as to who made the decision. I was given notice
can
very
you
short
please-
while ago, and I just tried to make sure people were informed as soon as I
Thank you.
knew.
That's great. Can you please inform whoever informed you that we won't be able to start that meeting until around 7:15 because we'll need people who go to the library to make their way over to the new space. I think it's fair given that we have less than 24 hours notice.
I think
So
that's
okay.
my
Great.
apologies, but that is definitely a reasonable request.
Great, thank you very much. One of the points that the mayor made at the meeting yesterday was that he was comparing the Clara Barton Library to the Metuchen Library, to the Woodbridge Library, to the Scotch Plains Library, and saying that their usage is growing and Clara Barton's isn't. I just wanted to rebut that. I'll get a chance to do that tomorrow. One thing that I always come back to, and one of the reasons why the administration's argument just doesn't make any sense, is the fact that if we want to compare Clara Barton to all those other libraries, we would need to make sure that we're funding Clara Barton at the same level as those other libraries, right? So I keep going back to the 5% contribution to Clara Barton. So 5% of the total budget of the Edison libraries goes to Clara Barton, right? 5%. So if you want to compare us to Metuchen, you want to compare us to Woodbridge and to Scotch Plains, I'm willing to bet that those places, they're not funding at 5%, right? So again, Clara Barton is doing as well as we should expect it to do, given how little we are funding it. So the reason why I'm bringing this up here is that I would like for you guys to do everything within your power to make sure that we get the funding up on the Clara Barton space, right? So 5% is not sufficient. That means that around 47.5 is going to one library if we assume that they're splitting, that the other libraries are being split equally, and like 47.5 to the other, and only 5%. It doesn't make any sense. And then you want to close that library because you're saying it's underutilized. Nothing makes sense in the administration's arguments. I don't know what you guys can do about that, but if the mayor comes to you and makes a point like that, that is a very good rebuttal, right? It cuts through every other argument that could be made. So just a little help for you guys then. One other thing I wanted to say is that there's a huge mistrust in the mayor in the Clara Barton neighborhood. He has single-handedly managed to turn the entire neighborhood against himself. He is single-handedly, because of the way that this has happened, I don't know how somebody does that, but he's managed to turn an entire neighborhood against himself because of this. Just the lack of communication, the lack of transparency, just every way that he's carried himself. Moving this meeting, the meeting tomorrow at the last minute to a new place, that's not gonna help his cause. People are gonna fill in the blanks whenever there's a lack of communication. Wherever there's a gap, we're gonna fill that with mistrust. That's just what humans do. So I don't know. I'd like to also just correct Mr. I believe Diamond, who said, might have left. He said that there are only 6 parking spots. No, there are actually 10 parking spots in the Clara Barton Library. I counted it. I live close by. And I think there's maybe 2 handicapped spots. So just wanted to correct that. But back to the mayor. I think he has a lot of work to do in the neighborhood. One, to convince us that that he has a plan, right, full stop. And also, like, he needs to do a lot of work to get a lot of people in our neighborhood back on his side. It's just been terrible. So thank you for hearing me rant. I heard that it was Councilman Cole's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday. Hope you had a good one. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And just as a point of clarification, the library budget is controlled by the Library Board of Trustees, and the percentage that the library has for its budget is based on a calculation on the municipal tax. This body does not have any authority in regards to the allocation of those funds specifically, just for. Does he still have time, Marlena?
13 seconds.
Real quick, sir, please.
Sure. The point still stands that if you fund at 5%, you can't compare to Medsachin or Scotch Plains or anybody else.
Understood.
So,
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Hi, my name is Roya Raffi. I live at 12 3rd Street. I wasn't going to say anything, but I just want to say that I have a special needs child. He's going to be 18 in March, and I understand, people have left, but I understand the daily struggles that these parents face. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with the state for his vocational services, and I'm currently going through getting guardianship for him. So I understand completely what these parents feel. But that doesn't mean the Clara Barton Library should be closed, and that's where the program should go. So I think, and the other point that was made, that only a dozen people around that Clara Barton Library use it, that is not true. I live half a mile away, and I walk there. So it's not a special place for a dozen houses. I don't know who that guy was, but I forgot his name. I also, benefit of the doubt that the meeting was moved because of space. I understand that too. But I just want to say that the neighborhood is not against special needs children. It's just that we think that it's not the right location for it. That's it.
Thank you for your comments. Sir? Oh.
Excuse me. Yeah, hi, Chris Rose of 79 Wooding Avenue, 08817. I'm just here to get an update regarding my concerns of vehicle traffic safety, and specific to Edison Town Square and the streets in and around there. Also, I'm also concerned about the vehicle traffic around our public schools as well. There's a lack of painted crosswalks, caution signs, et cetera. So, for example, Topgolf has had 400,000 customers in 2022. And with the continued development still continuing, we're expected to probably have over 1 million vehicles drive through in and around Edison Town Square. And it's important that we slow these drivers down. They're kind of just going through these traffic signs haphazardly, not even caring, not even slowing down sometimes. I've encountered several drivers, right? Even got myself jammed up, right? So I even spoke to the folks at Supercharge, and they actually cooperated and installed speed humps. So that was pretty interesting that they did that. Per the police department, as of 2022, there were 52 traffic incidents, and only 5 tickets issued. I mean, and this is around the Edison Town Square and the streets around from, I believe it's Forest, well, Route 1 South to Old Post to Vineyard, that area, directly around the perimeter of Edison Town Square. In 2022, I mean, that could be an opportunity for, but that's a whole nother case, for the police department to bring in revenue. Um, uh, And I'm not here for that, right? So the point is, we need to have more of a police presence. We need to install these traffic feedback signs, these speed humps. And actually, I would like some feedback from you, Ms. Ship Freeman, because I kind of spoke to you last about this. So, and I'm
Yes.
sure you got my email, right?
Yes.
Sir,
yes,
please
yes.
direct your questions to the chair.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
I
When you
appreciate
finish,
it,
I'll give you
but
some feedback.
Councilwoman Ship Freeman, please
Yeah, she
respond.
took the initiative to have me
Yes.
reach out to her.
Yes. What happens, this has to happen through the traffic division. And so I've asked the traffic division, because it's along with the police, I've asked them to look at that, but, you know, they've been kind of doing a whole lot of other streets in our town. It's not just that area. We have too many people coming, the traffic is too much for this
But
amount of
that
town.
area is
Yeah,
serious.
and that area is very, very serious, and I will email the chief of police tomorrow, and since I wrote down all the names of the streets you told me, you said Wooding Avenue, and you were
There's
talking.
a bunch of them, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
You can go through the list.
Okay,
yeah.
but you know that also that Route 1 is a county road. It's a county road,
Yeah.
so we have no jurisdiction over that road.
Yeah, fair enough. But we could probably do better, right?
Yes, yes, and we will. I will.
Yeah, listen, this is really serious for me because every day I'm there. Sometimes I work in my vehicle on purpose. I do that because I can, right? I see young people, old people, they're literally walking through that development. And these people are flying through there. It's just a matter of time, right? Something's gonna happen. Like I said, I've encountered people.
Yes,
I've even been challenged, right?
yes,
Even got myself in a serious matter, but got over that.
yes.
So this should be priority. This is public safety. We got a
Yes.
lot of visitors right now. So I spoke to the folks at Supercharge. I think I went to the opening. They expected over 12,000 people. I think they opened on the 19th or the 9th, one of those days. And I was there with my family. They expected over 12,000 people just in that pocket.
Yes.
And in addition to, right, there's no streetlights. So these folks are walking probably to grab lunch to Chick-fil-A. It's just a matter of time. We're making money. And let's not kind of the bureaucracy of, I gotta get this needs to be done. So I'd kind of hope that you guys make this priority.
Yes, and
Because this is our young people, right?
I made one mistake. It's not a county road. I'm sorry, it's a state road. Route 1 is a state road.
Yeah, but
And-
we're making enough money.
yeah.
We could hire the state troopers to monitor that road, so, right?
Well, I'll just email the chief of police and tell him about the traffic division, and I'll get all the information back to you at our next council meeting, or I'll answer your email as soon as I get
I'll
the
be here,
information.
yeah, that's fine.
All right,
Yeah, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. And if I can just comment, I know myself, Councilman Coyle, and I'm not sure if Councilman Patel, that was the same meeting you were at, but we had spoken to, her name's escaping me, from the DOT in regards to.
Semino.
No, separate. This is, she's a new representative from the state, and one of the topics that we had discussed was pretty much at the intersections throughout Route 1, the safety concerns. So I know that's a follow-up, and I didn't mean to be rude, the time's elapsed, maybe on
Yeah,
the
no, that's
rebuttal
fine,
aspect,
but really, Route 1
Council
is.
President, the speaker's time has elapsed.
Yeah,
just from a courtesy standpoint, but thank you for your understanding.
all right, thank you. I'll see you next time.
Mr. Romano?
Council President, can you repeat his address, please? That's okay. Well,
If after the meeting you would like to provide.
I'll speak to him after the meeting.
Yeah. Mr. Romano?
Joseph Romano, 55 Avenue C, Edison, New Jersey. I was at the library meeting last night. I'm the Vice President, Board of Education. Has anyone on this dais been to a planning board meeting? Has anybody been to a zoning board meeting? Explain what happens for the public that hasn't been there. When a planning board has a meeting, the people who are asking to change the planning or what have you, they have artist renderings of their plans. They actually have like a bulletin board set up. Same thing with the zoning board. I'm just gonna throw this out, but is there an artist rendering for their new proposed library? Is it an updated library? Are they planning on making it bigger and better? Are they planning on saying things such as, we're going to improve the traffic flow because we're improving the library in itself and the product that we are giving? I'm looking for the plans. I don't see them. Oh, on a lighter note, happy birthday, sir. I apologize through the chair. Happy birthday to Mr. Coyle.
Thank you.
Also, through the chair to Mr. Coyle. Where's my flowers? Oh, please, it's my time.
Council President, I didn't hear the question. The phone was ringing before.
It was my phone. It was a constituent asking me to ask you about my flowers. All I ask is that if we're going to take and we're going to spread alternate facts,
Thank you.
let the facts be known. I haven't seen an artist's rendering of anything about the Clara Barton Library, what we're doing with it, a planogram, something that could have been brought up to the council or through a zoning board or through a planning board to let the people in Clara Barton know. You see, people are talking about open and honest and transparency. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about what's being done somewhere else with alternative truths. I asked this board, I asked this council to step up and say, do you got a plan? If you got a plan, let us see the plan. Let the public see the plan. Let the public speak 6 minutes on the plan. And yes, of course, a 3-minute rebuttal. But let the public know about the plan. Let the public know about the plan with respect to special needs. Edison Township Board of Education does a fine job. Now, if the township, there's a difference, if the township wants to take and have a special needs program of their own, in their own building, I don't see a plan. I believe one of the councilmen said, the funding comes from us, but we haven't seen a plan. All I ask is this, and then I give you my time back. Please tell us what you want to do. Come up with a plan. You, the council people, you're the salespeople. The mayor and the mayor's administration, they're the ones that are proposing this. You're the ones that are standing here and being verbally assaulted because you don't have the answers. I appreciate your time. And he left when I was going to ask him about the flowers again. Mr. Pointer, congratulations on being made president. Margot, congratulations on being vice president. And I promise the next time, it'll be fun. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and likewise for the Vice Presidency of the Board of Education. Any first-time speakers?
I think he's first time, that's an attempted rebuttal, so I think it's what to Christo. She's rebuttal.
Second-time rebuttal, Ms. Malone? And just for clarification, the rebuttal is is 3 minutes specifically on a topic that you brought up during your initial thing, in rebuttal to any comments that related to that topic.
Okay.
Could you also advise us what you're rebutting specifically? Thank you.
Okay, so there were two comments I wanted to address. One is that I just want to make it clear that the residents of Clara Barton are not fighting special needs programming. We just feel very strongly that a township this size should be able to have both. We shouldn't have to give up a library of 50 years to substandard space for special needs programming. So that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to clarify was the comment made by one of the gentlemen about the parking, but I think Shagan covered that. There are at least double the amount of spaces that were stated. And then I wanted some clarity on the resolution that was tabled. My understanding at that meeting was, and maybe someone could clarify this, that was not a request for funding. As Mr. Pasquale was alluding to, it was a request to put out an RFP for someone to run the facility at Clara Barton.
What specifically are you rebutting with that question?
I am rebutting the comments made by Mr. DePasquale that it was for funding and to bring it back. And it's a point of clarification, really. That resolution was not for funding, was it? No.
No.
Okay. That's all I wanted to say. And my ask of the council, and this is something that I said, was not to please stop any funding for special needs programming. It was please stop anything that would move forward the mayor's plan to move the library, the Clara Barton Library, and use it for special needs. Okay? Thank you. Did I follow the rules?
Yes, thank you very much. Christo for a rebuttal.
Thank you for recognizing me. Before I start my rebuttal, I just want to say thank you to Council President Pointer and Council Vice President Margot. I do feel safer, and I feel like my rights have been respected while I've been here. But to go on to my rebuttal now. I agree with what the previous speaker just said. Tony D came up here, completely lied to us for Mayor Sam Joshi's agenda. Nothing new.
Can you specifically identify what you're rebutting?
Well, I just made my statement that I'm in agreement with.
Okay,
what
that's
you
not a
said.
rebuttal, Christo. You have to specifically identify what you're rebutting in
I
this time period.
apologize, but I think a rebuttal is you can either agree or disagree.
No.
Just as a point of clarification, and I will stop the time if that's okay. In the beginning, I did make mention it was in contrast to a statement, so I did try to provide that clarification before. But
Yeah, she
please
made a
proceed.
statement, I agreed
You
to
can start
it,
the
and now
time
I'm
again.
moving
Thank you.
on. Thank you. And I also agree with what that young man said earlier to the council president. I'll speak to Brescia and Ms. Joyce. You know where I live, over by Highland Park, so from where it starts to the Quick Check, that's only 4 blocks.
Council
So
President, this is not a proper rebuttal.
The rebuttal has to be in regards to a topic that you specifically have brought.
The young man brought up a topic, and may I please continue?
But it's in
Council
regards
President, it's
to.
inappropriate.
It's only 3 minutes, it's not inappropriate. May I please continue?
Just a point of order. The rebuttal is in regards to
His
no, I had specifically said in the beginning, in regards to topics that you brought up during the initial.
I brought up, or
by-
someone else in the public, or someone on the council can bring up, you can rebut. You can't just change the rules every day.
Speaker is out of order, Council President.
Thank you. May I please continue? So what he said earlier, I agree with Joyce. Within those 4 blocks, Highland Park cops, they're ticketing people within 1 hour.
Council President, this is
I
not a
see 4
proper
or 5
rebuttal.
Thank you, Council President. He's running the meeting. Thank you for putting a leash on the lawyer. God bless you. So Joyce, within that 4 or 5 blocks, within an hour, I see Highland Park cops 5, 6, 7, 8 tickets. I'm watching it. I'm out there. Half the time they're stealing because we don't have an Edison police officer on my side, so they're stealing the tickets that we could be giving out. And now with the fentanyl and everybody on heroin, everyone's doing this fentanyl, shooting up dope, it's even more serious. We need cops. Instead of them hanging out over at the Indian synagogue or whatever they do, they just hang out at the Indian synagogue or the Indian temple. Then they're hanging out.
Point of order. I'm trying to be respectful
I'm
and
agreeing
everything in regards to that, but let's please.
Instead of hanging out at the boat docks, talking to each other, doing God knows what, they could be getting tickets, doing their proper job, and thank you. Now I'll move on to my next rebuttal, because you can agree and disagree on people's rebuttals. It doesn't just have to be a disagreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like for somebody up there to clarify that has the brains on their shoulders.
Any other first-time speakers? Any second-time speakers?
Motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting stands adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry. Motion to adjourn from.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.